Welcome. Today, we explore the constitutional blueprint of India, tracing the evolution of our map from 1947 to the present day. The physics of our union. Our constitutional structure is fundamentally unique, defined by two distinct concepts. First, we must distinguish between an indestructible union of indestructible states, which typically results from an agreement among sovereign states, and the reality of India. India is an indestructible union of destructible states. This means the union was created for administrative convenience, and the states were not born from a historical treaty. As noted by our cartographer, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar designed the constitution to be federal during times of peace, but unitary during emergencies. Consequently, the union remains paramount, and state borders are merely administrative chalk lines drawn to serve the people. The structure of India's territory rests on four constitutional pillars. Article 1 defines our realm, establishing the name and territory of the country as India, that is Bharat, a union of states. Article 2 governs external additions, granting Parliament the power to admit or establish entirely new states into the union that were not previously part of India. Article 3 provides the power for internal redrawing, allowing Parliament to split, merge, or alter the boundaries and names of existing states. Article 4 functions as a bypass to Article 368. It stipulates that changes made under Articles 2 and 3 can be passed by a simple majority and are not considered formal constitutional amendments. We begin by examining the foundational bedrock of our nation, Article 1 of the Constitution. The text explicitly declares, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. This article categorizes our territory into three distinct types: the states, which maintain a federal relationship with the center, the union territories, which are administered directly by the central government, and finally, other acquired territories, which serve as a placeholder for potential future additions. It is crucial to note that the word federal is entirely absent from the Constitution. The specific phrasing, Union of States, was a deliberate choice by the framers to signify that the Indian Republic is an unbreakable entity, not a result of an agreement among sovereign states. Now, how does India physically change its internal borders? The process is a strictly defined constitutional mechanism. Step 1. Presidential consent. Any bill aimed at altering state boundaries must first receive a formal recommendation from the President before it can even be introduced. Step 2. State legislature review. The bill is then sent to the affected state legislature. The President fixes a strict time limit for this review, but it is crucial to note that the views expressed by the state are absolutely not binding on the Parliament. Step 3. Parliamentary introduction. Once the review process is complete, the bill is introduced in either House of Parliament, the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. Step 4. Simple majority. Finally, the bill is passed by a simple majority. Because of the bypass exemption provided under Article 4, this is not considered a formal constitutional amendment under Article 368, and the President does not have the power to return the bill for reconsideration. Our journey continues with a critical question: can India actually cede its territory? The answer lies in our judicial history, starting with the landmark 1960 Berubari case. At that time, the Supreme Court ruled definitively, Parliament cannot cede Indian land to a foreign nation under the standard powers of Article 3. To do so requires a formal constitutional amendment. Specifically, the 9th Amendment of 1960 was required to settle that particular transfer to Pakistan. But what about the day-to-day work of geography? By 1969, the Supreme Court further clarified that settling a border dispute is fundamentally an executive action. This means the government can adjust boundary lines as an administrative task, provided that no actual sovereign territory is being handed over. Finally, we see this theory in practice with the 2015 100th Constitutional Amendment. This was the historic Bangladesh Enclave Exchange, where 111 enclaves were transferred to Bangladesh, and 51 were received by India. Because this physically altered the borders of our nation, a full constitutional amendment was required to update the first schedule of our constitution. As of August 15, 1947, India was faced with the monumental, historic task of absorbing 552 independent princely states within its sovereign geographic boundaries. This required a delicate balance of diplomacy and decisive action. In the north, ruler Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession in October 1947 to integrate Jammu or Kashmir into the Union. In the west, after the Nawab of Junagadh fled to Pakistan, the state was successfully integrated in February 1948 following a public referendum. In the south, the Nizam of Hyderabad initially resisted. However, the state was integrated by November 1948 following a police action famously known as Operation Polo. As the British excited, the map of India still contained pockets held by French and Portuguese colonial powers. The French exit began in 1954 with the transfer of Yanam, Pondicherry, Karaikal, and Mahe, followed by Chandranagar's integration after a plebiscite in 1962. These former French territories were established as the Union Territory of Pondicherry through the 14th Constitutional Amendment in 1962. Simultaneously, the Portuguese enclaves saw their own transition. Dadra and Nagar Haveli were freed in 1954, followed by the liberation of Goa, Daman, and Diu in 1961. These were formally integrated into the Indian Union via the 10th Amendment in 1961 and the 12th Amendment in 1962, respectively. We now turn to what we call the Sikkim anomaly, a unique case in India's territorial integration. Sikkim's path to becoming a state occurred in three distinct phases. Phase 1, the Protectorate. Under the rule of the Chogyal, Sikkim functioned as a protectorate where India held exclusive responsibility for defense, external affairs, and communications. Phase 2, the Associate State, 1974. Through the 35th Constitutional Amendment, the constitution was modified to add Article 2A in the 10th Schedule, which granted Sikkim representation in the Indian Parliament, though it notably did not grant a vote in presidential elections. Phase 3, full statehood, 1975. Following a public referendum in which the people of Sikkim rejected the Chogyal's rule, the 36th Constitutional Amendment was passed, fully merging Sikkim into the Union and repealing the temporary provisions of Article 2A in the 10th Schedule. As we look at the immediate post-independence landscape, the government faced a reorganization dilemma in 1948. The first formal attempt to address this was the S.K. Dhar Commission. Their mandate was to determine the criteria for state formation, and their stance on language was a firm rejection. Instead, they recommended that India be organized based on three core pillars: administrative convenience, geographical contiguity, and financial independency. Following this, the JVP committee was formed, consisting of three prominent leaders: Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabi Sitaramaiah. They, too, rejected the linguistic basis for states. Their core recommendation was to prioritize national security and economic stability over any popular linguistic demands. However, the nation was left with a significant baseline problem. The original constitution was effectively stuck with a messy, temporary four-fold classification system known as Part A, B, C, and D states, which created administrative friction that would soon demand a more permanent solution. The demand for linguistic states reached a boiling point in 1953. Potti Sriramulu undertook a 56-day hunger strike to demand a state for Telugu speakers. His tragic death sparked aggressive protests, forcing the government to create Andhra Pradesh in 1953, making it India's first linguistic state. This necessitated the formation of the Fazl Ali Commission, consisting of Fazl Ali, K.M. Panika, and H.N. Kunsru, which sat from 1953 to 1955. The Commission's verdict was definitive. They accepted linguistic and cultural homogeneity as a basis for state formation. However, they strictly rejected the one language, one state theory. Ultimately, the Commission reaffirmed that national unity remains the paramount consideration for the Republic. By the mid-1950s, the original, temporary system of classifying states into Part A, B, C, and D categories had become untenable and messy. The 7th Constitutional Amendment of 1956 arrived as the definitive solution to this administrative challenge. This landmark amendment completely abolished those outdated classifications, effectively wiping the slate clean. In their place, it established the modern geographic and administrative baseline of the Republic, organizing India into 14 unified states and 6 union territories. This reorganization brought much-needed clarity and structure to the map of India, laying the foundation for the administrative framework we recognize today. Following the initial establishment of our modern administrative baseline, the following decades witnessed continuous evolution to better serve regional identities and administrative needs. In 1960, the Bombay state was bifurcated, giving rise to the states of Maharashtra and Gujarat. By 1966, the Punjab reorganization took place, leading to the creation of the state of Haryana and the Union Territory of Chandigarh, while Punjab retained its distinct identity. The 1971 and 1972 period, known as the Northeast Elevation, saw Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura, and Meghalaya being elevated to the status of full states. Finally, in 1987, the map saw its final upgrades of that era, as Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, and Goa graduated from their status as union territories to become full-fledged states of the Union. Entering the 21st century, the map of India continued its dynamic evolution to better serve its growing population and diverse regions. In the year 2000, the map saw significant changes with the creation of 3 new states. Chhattisgarh was carved out of Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand was separated from Uttar Pradesh, and Jharkhand was formed from Bihar. Moving to 2014, the process of bifurcation continued when Telangana was officially separated from the state of Andhra Pradesh. In 2019, a major administrative reclassification occurred as the state of Jammu or Kashmir was divided into 2 distinct union territories, the Union Territory of Jammu or Kashmir and the Union Territory of Ladakh. Finally, in 2020, the government streamlined administration by merging the 2 separate union territories of Dadra or Nagar Haveli and Daman or Diu into a single, unified entity. We have traced the journey of our republic from the monumental integration of 1947 to the administrative refinements of the 2020. What emerges from this analysis is a fundamental, core insight. The map of India is not a static historical artifact. It is a living, breathing document. The Constitution's specific provisions were crafted to allow for dynamic adaptation, continuously reflecting our evolving democratic and administrative landscape. We see the ultimate constitutional masterstroke in the deliberate framing of India as an indestructible union of destructible states. Through the mechanisms of Articles 1 through 4, the framers ensured the Republic possessed the constitutional agility to redraw its internal geography, responding to vital democratic, linguistic, and administrative needs, without ever risking the integrity of our outer borders. It is this balance of flexibility and permanence that defines the Indian constitutional experience. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment if you enjoyed this quick revision.